Education is great, but education, as you're mentioning, is only going to take you to a certain place. Action is the important part. I encourage to get a mentor. You need to bring something to the table. You need to bring some value, right? Like either your time and your effort, but you still need to do your part, right? Like it's not that you get like a paid mentor and like everything is easy now and you get everything, right? So you need to do your work too.
Welcome, everyone, to the Road Less Travel Show. This is a show about people that were successful in a previous career and left that career to go down a different path. I'm your co-host, Richard Coyne.
And I'm your co-host, Bill Zahller.
On today's show, we have Harry Nima Zegarra. Harry, we're so glad you're with us.
Hey, guys. Thank you for having me today with you.
Absolutely, Harry. Well, thank you again for being on the Road Less Traveled show. To start with, can you tell our listeners a little bit about your background? What was your former career and how long you were in that line of work?
Yes, absolutely. So, as you can see me, I'm still a physician. So I'm a full-time doctor still. So my wife and I, we both are physicians. We are both from South America, from Peru. We came here to the U.S. about 15 years ago. And because of the nature of our training, we have been living like in different states, right? Like, so we have been like in Pennsylvania and Virginia. After training, like you do a couple of years more of training or specialization. And then like after a couple of more years, we start like practicing as initially in private practice in South Texas. And then we moved here to Dallas Fort Worth, right? Like, so where we have been living for the last 5 years. Right. Like, so, So in terms of our background, like with real estate, we also, I mean, like we come from South America, we come from Peru, our family, mostly I'm myself out of the first generation who was able like to go to college or to have like a higher education. So my family had some background like in business and even in real estate. I mean, of course, it's a little bit different like from South America, a developing country, to here to the US. But yeah, so we were very interested in that when we came here. And because of so many things like time and lack of education initially when we arrived, we were not able to get started until we actually came to Dallas Fort Worth. Right, like because we were living in different areas for just a couple of years, and then we were moving, so we couldn't really get started. So 5 years ago, we moved here to Dallas Fort Worth, where we still live. We love the area. We fell in love like with the area, and we decided to stay. So we very quickly we bought our primary residence. And then like a couple of months later, we started like investing like in real estate, like initially in single family homes. And then after a couple of years, and again, like this is what we have been doing the last 2 years in multifamily real estate and syndications.
Great. And what size apartments are you looking at now, and what area did you look at?
Yeah, so we usually focus on large apartment complexes, right? Like, so we try to use like what is called like the economies of scale, help that you get when you're able like to get and manage this type of properties. And the main areas that we look is like, again, like the Midwest and the Southeast, including now Texas and Arizona. So we're trying to look for areas, again, like as you guys may know, like areas where there's population migration and also business migration, which are investor friendly and also landlord friendly.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Very, very important. All of those aspects.
Yes.
Yeah. Harry, are you able to share what type of physician you and your wife are? Are you too different or similar, or?
Yeah, no. I mean, like you can imagine, like in medicine, there are so many flavors of doctors.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like initially I did like internal medicine, and then I did 3 more years of pulmonary and critical care. So I've been like a physician already for about 12 years, and in pulm critical care I've been like for 7 years. Like again, initially in private practice, and then like now like in a bigger institution, kind of like more academic setup. And my wife, she did family medicine, which is primary care. Right. Okay. She also has been in practice for about 10 years.
Excellent. That's great news. Good deal. So Harry, as you are doing real estate, obviously trying to, use that as a tool to grow wealth, et cetera, as well as help other people, things like that. Maybe back to your doctor days, I don't know, perhaps as an intern or something like that. Is there a story that you can share that said, I love being a doctor, but at the same point in time, I got to do something else for me, my wife and my family. So anything humorous you can share?
Yeah, no, well, I mean, like there's so many stories, and one of the things I remember in this moment is actually like not for that long ago. I mean, actually in 2020, you guys probably like remember well, we started like the pandemic with COVID here. So we were actually going to a conference, to a medical conference, and I took my family like with me. So it was February 2020, and after a week or 2 weeks, we went to Cancun like for just like a family like vacation. It was like a spring break for us, and we came back, and three days later, everything was shut down. So like even like international flights and all of that. So we're saying like, oh my gosh, like if we would have stayed like another day there in Mexico, I mean, like we were screwed, right? Like we were gonna stay there for a long time. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was funny, but at the same time, it was like stressful, right? Like, and you can imagine also what happened during the pandemic. Like we were in the front line, so it was something to talk about at some point.
Yeah, well, it's horrible. Obviously, the whole thing that everybody went through, and obviously, I know that for the healthcare professionals, being on the front line, like you said, was really stressful. And obviously, I know you gave a lot of great care to people along the way. But wow, yeah, that does take a toll on you. You as a doctor and certainly a medical practitioner. So wow.
Yeah. So. Well, here, as you think back on that, what was was there a deciding factor that made you? I mean, obviously, the medical career, you put a lot of time and effort in becoming a doctor. So what was the deciding factor in making you want to like a parallel track into another, in this case, real estate?
Yes. So you can imagine like at this point in my life, I'm still a doctor, full-time physician. And the reason being is because I still love medicine. I still enjoy being a doctor. So I haven't really planned completely to leave medicine, right? Like, but at some point, we would like to have a better balance in our life, right? Like, and have more time for the family, more time for the kids, to do the things that you like with the people that you love, right? So, and that's how we started actually. As I was telling you, initially, it was kind of following our family steps, right? Like, and we started that like 5 years ago. But interestingly, during the pandemic is when we decided like to go like stronger on this, right? Like because we were in the front line. So if something would have happened to me, I was thinking about like what I'm going to leave like my family with, right? Like we only have one stream of income, and that's my work and my wife's work. We would be in real trouble, right? Like, so that's like actually in 2020 was when we decided to, I mean, we had started actually like years before, but we decided like to go more like stronger on this path.
Right. Makes sense. Yeah.
And I tell you what, again, you think about that. You said a very important point there. I think everybody, really, we hope everybody internalizes and thinks about, and that is that, when you have one stream of income, that's risky. Kiyosaki talks about, other people have talked about it as well, that, the right thing to do ultimately is to really create other streams of income. And that could be real estate. That could be other things. Bill and I happen to love real estate as well. So that's what we do. But, again, the point is that, I spent 30 years in a corporate world, and, I had a good run, but at the same point in time, I was working for somebody else. I was trading time for money. And, obviously, I do think that developing another stream of income, again, real estate has tax advantages and other benefits. So that's why we love it. But at the same point in time, again, please find another stream of income to develop to support you and your family's long-term wealth. So highly recommend that.
And absolutely, you're talking about like we are professionals and high-paid professionals, right? Like, but at the end of the day, we're still employees, right? Like we're working for someone else in this real estate like journey that my wife and I are. We're building something for ourselves. I'm building something for me, for my family, and possibly for our future generations.
That's right. Exactly. James Rickards, a book author that Bill and I both love. He talks about generational wealth, and he had he recounts a story where he talked about, he had a dinner with an Italian family that is, generations and generations of wealth. I mean, something like 800 years of family wealth. And, they can track it back to, and he asked this particular lady that's in the family, how did your family do it? And she said three things. art, gold, and real estate. And,
Excellent.
and again, it transcends, regime changes, political, changes and tides and all that stuff. So anyway, definitely think it's is certainly something to, jump into if you haven't thought about that before, dig into it. Anyway, so just, Harry, as you think about, moving in the direction of real estate, you mentioned as you started doing some single families, then you started, trying to go bigger with multifamily. So, are there some obstacles that you can talk about that you had to overcome?
Yes. Well, initially, as you can imagine, we're two physicians full time. We also have two kids, 7 and 11 right now. So you can imagine our lives are busy, right? So one of the challenges, initially for anyone really, who wants to start in another path, who has another passion to get started, is time, right? So you need to find a balance, right? And you need to find how to make things work, right? Like your passion and good communication, in this case, with your partner or with your spouse. So that's very important, right? Challenges. So what happens is that sometimes when you are a professional, right, when you're a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, people may think that that's what you should do when only what you should do, right? So they may not take seriously initially, right? So it happened to me at some point. Again, I was going to meetups or conferences, and I meet with these other real estate investors, and they may think oh, right, you are a doctor, well, you should invest this way and not this other way, right? So, and I wanted really to be an active investor, right? To have my hands on, right? So that's one of the things. But then when you show them that you're serious about this, that you're passionate, and you really put the time and effort, right? Things change, right? But it takes some time for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, here was looking back. What was one of the first victories as you started your real estate career and got into the larger unit sizes? Can you think back to one of your first victories that you realized this is achievable? This is a good path for me to pursue.
Yes. I mean, actually, I'm going to step back a little bit, in terms of our first victory. Actually, we always talk about this, with my wife. And actually, our first victory was when we bought our first family home, single family house or rental, right? And it was by numbers, by no means the best investment that we have done. Actually, it was very normal investment, right? If you think about, if you take the numbers around that, the return investment was not great. It was just a single family home from the MLS and bought through a real estate agent. But for us, it's our biggest win. And the reason why it was the way that how we started in real estate. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't be here probably in this moment. So yeah, I mean, it's very important when you or someone talks about their wins, right? We always think about home runs and the best deal ever, right? But it's how you get started. I believe is how things are important.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if you never take that first step, you'll never get further on the journey, right? So that is critical to have.
It takes courage sometimes, to jump and do it. But yeah, that's very important.
That first one's the unknown, right? And then you do it and you're like, okay, it is achievable. And then you do it again. And then you
start scaling. Yes,
exactly. Scaling, you see a pattern and yeah.
And again, to the point of starting somewhere, you got to start somewhere. And if you don't, we know folks and, very smart people and like to learn and love to learn. And that's, we certainly do as well. But at the same point in time, you gotta apply your learnings and take action and do something about it. Even if you don't, it isn't a home run. That first deal, you said you did okay. It wasn't great, but you took action and you learned a huge amount from that deal.
Absolutely.
And again, if you hadn't done that, if you hadn't taken the action, you're still in book learning. You're still with book knowledge. And again, you really amplify how much you learn when you actually start doing. Yeah, you're going to make some mistakes, certainly, but at the same point in time, take action and do things. So Harry, as you're now kind of in, both worlds, still a doctor, but at the same point in time, still doing, you're working on these larger properties, apartment acquisitions, syndications, like you said. Is there a humorous story, something you can share, something that happened to you?
Yeah. So we have been in commercial real estate for about 2 years, right? And in the last probably in the last year, we have been trying to get a little bit more out there, to be in social media, to do more education to other professionals, especially doctors, right? Like, so we launched our YouTube channel also a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, right? Like, so you're being consistent. You try to bring value to other people. You try to educate, right? Like, but you sometimes don't see other things around, right? Like, so I've gone to a couple of conference or meetups, and people approach me and said, "Oh, you are the guy like who is in the YouTube channel, like who talks about like the real estate," and I don't have an idea who are them, right? So it's like, well, yes, I mean, I do like my videos and I go sometimes to podcasts. So people start to recognize you like in other areas, right? Like in conference and all of that. So, and that's funny.
Nice.
And it's also encouraging, right? Like for what you guys are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Very nice.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's it. I think a lot of that is just, like you said, the consistency, I think, is key in so many of those endeavors, because, initially it looks like there's little traction, but then it gains momentum, and the stuff you put out, like so your YouTube channel, the beauty of that is it's evergreen work, right? It's not like if someone missed you next Tuesday on a radio show, well, they just missed it forever, right? But this will be, somebody could stumble across one of your interviews, 3 years from now and reach out to you because it's, it's always out there, which is great. I mean, it's why we love the podcast. We love the YouTube channel as well. Yeah, I think it's a great medium to educate and to, people to learn a little bit more about your story.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Great. Well, where are you today on your journey? You mentioned like some of the commercial real estate. So where are you now? Like, what are some of your goals you have for the commercial real estate?
Yes. So, well, we are like I think I could summary that like in three parts, right? Like, so we're in the process of growing. We're in the process of, at the same time, trying to find balance, like, right, like with our time and also with our family, right, which is super important for us. Like I was telling you guys, my wife and I were full-time physicians. She actually is like stepped down for her position, and now she's more involved like at home, like and with the kids, and the kids are doing great. But we believe like 7 and 11, they need more time with us, and they need our help, right? Like so there has been like one of the changes that has happened recently. Like the other one is because of my background and because of my network with physicians, and I mostly have been involved in projects in raising capital and investor relationships too. But I was very blessed and very grateful that one of our last projects, I actually joined forces with 2 partners, and I'm actually part of the lead sponsorship team. So I'm nice. Taking more roles. I'm taking more, at the same time, you may say like responsibilities, right? Like, so like the project was here in Dallas Forward. So I'm part of the asset management team. So we go there every week. We oversee like the renovations, the CapEx, and all of those things, which are very important. Like at the end, right? Like, so like the deal and the numbers, it can be important, but at the end of the day, like the team who manages that is like super important part of the deal. And the last thing is like, again, like trying to keep growing like as an education platform, right? Like with our blogs and with our YouTube channel. So yeah, so exciting things over the next couple of months and years.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah. It's great.
Very nice. So Harry, as you again, busy family, you're still a physician, you're doing real estate. Is there anything you can share that maybe you do personally or through your company, something along the way that you can talk about that you do to give back in some way?
Yeah. So again, like as I'm mentioning, like education, I was in the last 2 years, I've talked with a lot of physicians. Many of us don't have that much information about finance and also alternative ways of investing, right? Like so all of us, or most of us, invest only in the stock market and Wall Street and in mutual funds and 401k, and there's like a phrase that I learned before, is that we tend to invest in things that we're familiar with, or things that we know or understand. So that's why everyone invests in that, like, and not many people invest in alternative ways of investing, and alternative ways that it doesn't sound that mainstream, but actually they may be better options and more stable than the stock market, right? Like real estate. So I've been trying like to bring awareness of that, like and have some education with my partners, like and physicians in this field, right? Like and also when I talk with people, especially with investors, doctors, with other professionals, one of the things that I like to put as a point is that we need to have options in life, right? Like again, if we only think that we're gonna go one path, we need to continue our 9 to 5. If we're gonna do like a retirement at 65, I mean, we don't have that many options, right? Like we need to have our minds open and see that there are other things out there.
Yeah, it's very humorous. It's called alternative investments. Real estate is an alternative investment, and again, the last time I checked, real estate was there first. I'm pretty sure real estate was there before stocks and bonds and
exactly.
Whatever else. But somehow we're brainwashed to think that the only way, again, busy professionals, that's what many of us are. We're brainwashed to think that the only way to really, try to do some investing is through stocks and mutual funds and all that kind of stuff. And, unfortunately, there's a book that I listened to quite, I honestly would probably say I listen to it once or twice a year, maybe even twice, called The Cash Flow Quadrant, Robert Kiyosaki.
Absolutely,
Great,
yes.
fantastic book.
Great book.
But again, it re-emphasizes the point. I think it was 1974 when they introduced ERISA that forced people to be responsible for their own retirement. The concept of an industrial age pension is long gone. Companies do not take care of their employees with a lifetime pension the way things used to be. So what has happened? You are responsible for your own retirement. And, the thing that has been created through the tax law and through obviously marketing is that, this 401k routes piles of money to Wall Street, which again, fine. That's okay. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but at the same point in time, it's not the only way. That's where we, of course, go back and encourage people to really look into other things. You don't have to be a millionaire to invest in real estate. Sure. I mean, you've certainly, there are ways to actually get into a deal with even $0 of your money, $0 of your own money, not into large apartment buildings like we do. But anyway, the point is that, again, we strongly encourage people to learn and dig in and put some effort out there to figure out what is beyond the stock market, what else is there? Because there's plenty of things that are very fruitful. So
absolutely, yes, and as you're mentioning, like there's other ways to invest, right? Like there are many people who don't even understand that they can invest to real estate or energy or farmland through their 401k or IRA. So which is very important. Like at the end of the day.
That's right.
Yeah, I guess our budgeting marketing department's a little bit less than a Fidelity or Schwab, so. It's it's all driven toward the stock market, right?
Yeah, I mean
it's
a little bit of disadvantage,
right? I mean, everybody knows that. Like you said, if you have a 401k at work, it's usually a few options and stocks, bonds, money market funds, but it's not real. I mean, other than a REIT, there's not real estate investment typically. So you have to spend some effort to find these opportunities and educate yourself on them to see if they're a good fit, which takes the extra effort. But hopefully like this, education platforms and what you do helps reach more people. They can at least weigh it to see if it is an appropriate fit for them, because I think it is for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. We're all doing our part. Yes.
Yeah. Well, Harry, so what's something you've, being a busy professional, is there something you've recently implemented that's helped you grow and scale your business, that's helped you manage a little bit better?
Yes. So apart from the education platform, we have been lately in the last couple of months investing a little bit like on advertisement and also in partnerships with physician platforms, so we can get a bigger audience, right? Like so, and get like educations to other people, like not just necessarily like, again, as we're mentioning on commercial real estate, but also like in other ways, like right, like there are some physicians that may also want to be active investors, right? Like so they want to try single family homes, and that's the beauty of real estate, right? Like it's so broad and there's so many options on how you can get involved. So yeah, that's one of the things that we have been doing lately.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. That's great. So Harry, what advice would you share with somebody who's considering making a path change?
Yeah. So one of the things that and we mentioned this before is it took for us about 4 to 6 months to get educated before we decided to jump in, right? Like, so education is great, but education, as you're mentioning, is only going to take you to a certain place. Action is the important part, right? Like there's a phrase from Robbins that he says, like, education is or knowledge is important, but action is what takes you places, right? Like so, and that's important. And also when someone is interested in doing real estate, specifically in commercial real estate, I encourage that, but also I encourage to get a mentor, right? Like so, and you can get a mentor, a paid mentor or a free mentor, right? Like when you have a free mentor, you need to bring something to the table. You need to bring some value, right? Like either your time and your effort. And of course, is if you get like a paid mentor, I mean, already you have the mentor there, but you still need to do your part, right? Like it's not that you get like a paid mentor and like everything is easy now and you get everything, right? So you need to do your work too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not a light switch.
That's right.
Yes.
It absolutely helps, but it's not a light switch that just flips on. Yeah.
You can't just sit back and let them do everything for you and just send the deals over to you. And
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's excellent. No, I think it's good advice. And, Richard talks about this a lot too. The whole mentorship program, I think, is a very important thing because, like you said, you want to learn from your mistakes, but the ability to learn from somebody else's mistakes can catapult you so much farther faster, right? So that's what you're buying your time back that way of having to learn everything yourself, that your own mistakes can get a little shortcuts and guidance on, common things to be aware of in those markets. Yeah.
Yes, and especially in commercial real estate. I mean, like we're talking about like in single family homes, if you make a mistake, it can be a couple of $1,000s. In commercial real estate, we're talking about millions of dollars. And it's not only your money, it's like also the money of your investors. So you need to be careful about that. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Harry, what's a good way for our investors to reach out and find out more what you're doing and learn more about your platform?
Yes, thank you. So we have our website already, like it's nimaequity.com. Nima is N as in Nancy, IMA, equity.com. And we have also our YouTube channel with the same name. So anyone who is interested, they can reach out to us.
Excellent. Well, we'll include links to those in the show notes below. Well, Harry, we really thank you for being on the Road Less Travel show today. Really appreciate the conversation and wish you continued success.
Hey, thank you, guys. I really had a great time here.
Absolutely.
Harry, thank you for being on. Really want to thank you. We'd also like to thank our audience. Please continue to give us a 5-star rating so we can bring you more great content like our guest today, Harry Nima Zegarra. And we'd also like to remind everybody about 2 important things Park Capital Partners has going on. We have the Park Capital Partner Value Add Fund, which is a 506c fund that is open to accredited investors. And we also have the Park Capital Partners Foundation that is a 501(c) nonprofit. And the way that works very quickly is that Park Capital Partners funds the operations of the foundation so that all the money donated goes to do its best work, which is to help others. Second, we donate corporately, we donate personally third, and then finally, when investors invest with us, we make a donation to honor that investor to a charity one of 15 pre-selected charities so that the investors can, not only make returns on their money, but also feel good about it by helping somebody else. And remember, folks, the Road Less Travel may be calling you. We recommend that you listen and take action. Thanks for joining.